From studios at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, this is Fourth and State. In this edition, Kurt Bauer, the CEO of Wisconsin's largest business group, explains why he thinks a mine in northern Wisconsin is essential to Wisconsin's economy. I'm David Haynes. I'm the opinions editor at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Welcome to Fourth and State. I'm joined today by Kurt Bauer, who is the chief executive at Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce. That's the largest business group in the state of Wisconsin. Kurt, welcome.
Thank you, Dave. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. Well, you have a big issue on your plate, the mining bill, which a new version of which is coming out shortly. Why don't you talk a little bit about why WMC believes this is so important for Wisconsin?
Well, we think it's a great opportunity, second chance to pass a mining bill. It failed last session, unfortunately. We think that it mostly got embroiled in politics because it was prior to the recall. So we'll have a second chance to pass it. We're talking about a lot of jobs, and not just in northern Wisconsin, but that's not insignificant because those people who have visited that area have seen that it's economically depressed, far worse than the rest of the country by far. And we're looking at an opportunity for 2,000 construction jobs to build the mine, and then 700 workers to actually work the mine. And then, of course, then there's an economic multiplier effect that goes along with that. Very similar to manufacturing. It's about a 2 or 2.5 to 1 ratio. So for every mining job you have, you create at least 2 jobs in other sectors of the economy. So we're talking about statewide jobs, but particularly transforming the Northland area that badly needs it.
Now, there have been a number of concerns raised about the mine over the past year. One issue that came up is that what happens to the rock that
the overburden?
The overburden that you have to dig through to get to the vein of iron. We talked to Mike Wiggins, who's the head of the Bad River Band of Lake Superior Chippewa recently, and he has a big concern about where that rock, which might contain sulfides, would end up. What's your reaction to that?
Well, first off, what we're talking about in this legislation, it's not permitting a mine to be built. It is creating a process by which a mining operation will apply for a permit. So we have to understand that this is just the first hurdle in a multi-step process before a shovel can actually go into the ground and start extracting iron ore. Obviously, all of the environmental protections need to be maintained. We haven't seen the bill that is likely to be introduced today. However, we believe that it is going to be like last session, which did not change any of the standards. The bottom line is that it will empower regulators, both state and federal. So you've got the State Department of Natural Resources, you've got the Army Corps of Engineers, to basically determine whether or not you can mine in that location without disturbing the watershed that the Bad River is so concerned about, and we'd support that. We don't want to spoil our waters or air quality. All of those standards are going to be in place, and unless we can protect those, a permit will never be issued.
So the bill, again, is about permitting. It doesn't affect air or water quality standards. No. So if those standards would not allow that kind of disposal of the tailings, let's say, what I hear you saying is that mine wouldn't get permitted.
That is correct.
If that was going to happen.
You've got to protect surface water, groundwater. You have to protect the watershed. You have to protect the air quality. All of that it will not change under this law. Basically, what the law really does do is create a certainty. So you've got an organization that is looking to come into Wisconsin to tap into those resources, potentially make a $1.5 billion investment in the state of Wisconsin, the largest private sector investment in state history. They need certainty. They need to understand what the rules are going to be. What we saw with the Crandon mine about 10 years ago is that it was denial by delay, and it was a tactic used by the anti-mining interests to basically bleed the company until they finally left in frustration. What we're trying to do is create a process by which they know what the rules are, and at the end of that process they're told, yes, you can mine safely in this location, no, you cannot. One way or the other, we want certainty.
And Wisconsin has a rich history of mining, if you go back many years, over 100 years, and this is a huge vein of iron ore. I'm told it might be one of the largest remaining in North America. But these jobs are a ways off. Why is this such a big push now? I mean, it's going to be years before we see any job creation out of this. Why not focus on other issues first?
Well, I think we can do multiple we could focus on multiple issues that hopefully create jobs, but this is one of them.
You're saying you can walk and chew gum at the same time?
We can
Okay.
indeed, and this isn't the only thing that WMC will be pushing for during this legislative session. This won't be the only thing the governor is looking to do during this legislative session. But the best analogy I can give you is that you don't yield a harvest in the fall unless you plant the crops in the spring. Yes, the timeline before we actually have a working mine and all the jobs and benefits that go with it is probably 3-4 years out. But I think we need to start that process as soon as we possibly can. I think too bad we didn't start it back in April of last year when the first bill didn't pass. But I think for the people in the Northland in particular, they need these jobs and they need them as quickly as possible. And I think we need to begin the process to create certainty in iron ore mining.
There's also been a criticism that WMC is essentially just carrying water for one company who actually I believe happens to be a member of WMC. What's your reaction? Well,
they're one member. They're not a significant member as far as what they pay us in dues. From our perspective, we're the State Chamber of Commerce. Our mission is to try and create jobs and economic opportunity. And if you look at the mining jobs that we're talking about, they pay well above the median, twice as much as what the median is in Iron County. We're talking $60,000 salary jobs with $80,000 total in benefits. These are great jobs for the middle class, could fundamentally transform the Northland area. But of course, there's the economic benefits statewide. Here in the Milwaukee area, we have two international world-class mining equipment manufacturers, Enjoy Global and Caterpillar. So we're looking at jobs growth here too, and they have suppliers and vendors statewide. So the economic impact of this is probably understated.
So the Wisconsin Mining Association, led by Tim Sullivan, former CEO at what is now Caterpillar, there have been some concerns raised by him. Is his group and your group on the same page with this bill?
I think we are. I talk to Tim frequently. In fact, I'll talk with him tomorrow about the bill that is going to come out tomorrow, and I don't think he's seen it either. But one of the concerns that he has had is talking about trying to align the timelines between the state permitting process and the federal permitting process, and I think we can make adjustments to make sure that we satisfy those concerns.
And what's your read on the politics in Madison on this? Last time it failed by a single vote in the state Senate. Senator Schultz was not persuaded that the bill that was on the table at that time was the right bill. The Senate's a little bit different now than it was. What's your read?
I think there's a lot of misinformation about this bill and what it'll do, how many jobs it'll create, how well-paying those jobs will be, whether they're permanent or temporary, and of course the environmental impact. I think we've got our job cut out for us as a business lobby to explain to lawmakers the great opportunity here. And from our perspective, it's hard for a lawmaker to say that they're for the middle class and be against this mine, because I think the economic impact for the middle class is tremendous.
Well, Kurt Bauer, CEO of Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, thanks for being with us on 4th and State.
My pleasure. Thank you.